Good evening and welcome to the November 5th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Since we've just gone through an election here nationally, I found a little prayer is titled Prayer for Unity. Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, you, the one from whom on different paths all of us have come, to whom on different paths all of us are going, make strong in our hearts that which unites us, build bridges across all that divides us. United, make us rejoice in our diversity. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Petroviani?
Here.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Here.
Councilwoman Rosbowski? Here. Supervisor Kensky?
Here. Our agenda's up here. I just want to call your attention to a few of the changes. We are pulling Resolution 10 tonight that we pulled from the agenda. And we are adding two add-ons which are on the agenda already, add-on 1 and add-on 2. And then we will be going to executive session after item 16, new business. In executive session, we'll be discussing labor contract negotiations. So we don't anticipate doing any further business after that. You can wait here if you like, we'll go in the other room, but we don't anticipate coming down and conducting any further business, so I wouldn't recommend it. With that, I'll start with item number 4, Town Council reports. I'll start on my left with Councilman Ramichardt.
No reports tonight, Mr. Supervisor.
And Councilwoman Rosbowski.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, once again, leaf season is upon us. The town crews have been around the majority of the neighborhoods at least one time thus far. Just remember the residents, please do not put your leaves in the roads. If you want to know if the neighborhood is going to be done soon, you can visit the town's website, or you can call the highway garage and they should be able to tell you when they're coming. They've already been through your neighborhood. They will be trying to make at least one more pass through before the snow flies. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Martin.
Yeah, so the comprehensive plan is kicking off tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock at the Senior Center. It is a first of 3 public meetings. All residents are encouraged to attend at least one meeting. If you can make all 3, that'd be even better. We'll be breaking into work groups and hearing from everyone directly. Everyone will participate. And that's the start of updating our plan. So I hope all can make it. In the event you can't make it to any of the meetings, or if you'd like to do this as well, there is an online survey on our website. We're looking from all feedback from all residents, young and old, doesn't matter your age. We'd like to have your input either directly through the meetings, if you can make all 3, and do the survey or do the survey. But please participate, because it's all about getting that public input.
Thank you. Councilman Petroviani.
No report, Mr. Supervisor.
No report. Okay. So we'll move right into the next item, which is the public hearing to hear all those interested in having comments on the 2015 preliminary budget. I think it might be worthwhile if we just do a quick, usually we like to do a quick framing of the what the public hearing's about before we do the public hearing itself. I don't know if it's easier for me to address the board from over there. That'd be quick. I know it always scares you guys when I go over there because I'm standing there a while sometimes. But I think it's important to talk about the budget before we get some feedback, because there's been some discussion and maybe some misinformation out there on this wonderful thing we call the World Wide Web. You know, sometimes you can put stuff on there, it doesn't have to be all that accurate. So I wanted to clarify some things before we talk about the budget. First and foremost, it's important to note that this budget stays under the state tax cap. That means that as residents, all the residents will be receiving their levy back in 2015 because we're under the tax cap. So the 2.87% levy is coming back, making an effective 0 for 2015. This budget does not employ any gimmicks such as any new fees for services, which we've seen in other municipalities. And it does not try to hide the levy by instituting new fees for where it was otherwise paid for in the general fund. And it does not defer our required payment to the retirement system like we're allowed to. But what that does is actually compound your retirement costs later, because what you end up doing is start to defer those. And other municipalities have done that to get under the tax cap. We are not deferring our payments. We're taking care of our obligations today as we should. So what does this mean to the typical Glenville homeowner? Outside the village, you'll see in the total 2015 January bill an increase to the average homeowner of just $17.85 a year on the average house. Again, that $17.85 will go back to the homeowner because we stayed under the tax cap in 2015. That includes the total town general, town outside, highway, water, sewer, and special districts. The village typical homeowner will see in their general levy increase $11.87 for the entire year on a typical home. The 2015 budget remains true to the principles of this town board and what we have espoused for the past 5 years: fiscal restraint, avoidance of unnecessary borrowing, lowering our dependency and use of the fund balance, and living within our means. This budget effectuates a new cost-effective model for delivering services such as animal control and facility cleaning while ensuring the jobs are still getting done. We reduced again our dependency on the fund balance. If you remember when this administration was first voted in, we inherited a $1.4 million use of our savings account to take care of operational needs. We've reduced that over the 5 years to about $580,000. That's a 60% reduction of using our fund balance to fund general fund needs in this budget. We've also absorbed, unfortunately, another health increase this year in our health increase line. Our health insurance line was $125,000, which is already just about where our cap was. So we've absorbed that. We've absorbed $250,000 in accrued leave payout time, such as sick time and vacation time for potential retirees this year. That's new cash spending in the budget that we're obligated under a contract to pay out for retirees. We've also had significant issues handling fall in revenue, mortgage tax revenue. We've talked about this all year. Our mortgage tax is down, not because our sales are down. Typically, actually our deeds are higher this year, filing than they've been in the past, but it's been the refinances which have slowed down, and it's taken a hit to our mortgage tax revenue. And so for us, we have to reduce our revenue from $675,000 in 2014 to $525,000 in 2015. We continue paying cash for our daily operational vehicles such as police cars and DPW pickup trucks and vans. And overall, and I'm proud of this, and it should not be lost in the discussion, our appropriations for this budget are down by $73,000. That's a cut in spending. Now that's hidden in the levy increase. But the levy increase is primarily because the revenue has dropped in mortgage tax and the health insurance at $125,000. And finally, our town debt is $4 million lower than it was in 2010. So we've reduced our debt even further, which is one of the goals of this board. Very quickly, I want to talk about the A fund, B fund. So in the town of Glenville, we have a village, and I know you guys know this is just more for general knowledge for people. When you have a village inside a town, you have the A fund, which is the town-wide fund. Everything that relates to town-wide expenses has to be charged to the A fund. And then you have a B fund, which is outside the village, and that's all services that are not delivered to the village, but just to the town, is charged to the town resident, like the police department being the major one, being our highway department. This budget year was a little bit unique in the sense that our comptroller took a hard look at the budget and discovered that we had one town-wide function that was in the B fund, and it should have been in the A fund. It should have been there by law, not by discretion, but it wasn't. And so when our comptroller, the town comptroller, came to us and to me and said, this is a problem, we need to fix this, and our town attorney confirmed the legal piece of it, it was clear that we had to move parks from the B fund, which was being charged to the town outside the village residents, to the A fund, and to the town-wide fund, because the town parks are a town-wide function. And we have the laws, and we have the case study, the case law, and we have the comptroller's opinion, the state comptroller's opinion. It all backs up the fact that this must be done. The objection from village leadership was that, well, wait a minute, we have a park in the village, so it'd be silly to charge for your parks when we have a park. Independent of the village having its own park or not, does not change the law. And we have the law here, sections 220, sections town law 232, and sections 245 that require that we continue to need to charge every debt to a town-wide fund because it's a town-wide function. We can talk more about that later. But it is the law. It isn't something that you or I have an option on. This is our oath to hold up the laws of the state of New York, and we have to do this. That results in an $11 increase to the village resident a year. So $11 increase a year for that move. It isn't new spending. It's shifted from the B fund to the A fund. So we can go into the case study if we need to later, but I don't think we need to do that right now. That's kind of the quick overview. We don't have to get into the mortgage tax sales aid sharing right now. But I want to at least frame the budget for everybody. We'll open up the public hearing, and then we can have a discussion afterwards on it. Okay, so with that, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wish to be heard on the 20th? I should finish the sentence for the record, I guess. On the 2015 preliminary budget.
Some information for you folks. I have copies for anybody else who might be interested. Let's leave it this way so I can see these guys too. Hi, I'm Doreen McCarthy. I'm one of your representatives on the Summer Recreation Commission. There's a joint commission among the towns of Charlton, Ballston, and Glenville. And for over 50 years, those three towns have been helping create a program that is housed in the Burnhill schools. But as I'm sure you guys probably know, about half of the students in the Burnhill schools live in the town of Glenville. I guess when they all got together, they didn't want to call it the Burnhill Schools, they made the Glenville School District, because that was a little too long. So they just continued to call it BHBL. And a significant portion of the children will attend there, as did my children from the town of Glenville. Thanks to the fact that you are an open group of people who make information available, I was able to be cruising through the budget that's online when suddenly I was taken aback. The town has been able for the last few years to make a very helpful donation of $5,000 to help us run this program in the summer. It's a significant opportunity for parents and for kids to do something special with their time in the summer. It's also a significant opportunity for a number of young people to have their first job. They start working as assistants in the groups there at the schools, either at the high school or junior high school, middle school, I'm showing my age, where they used to, where the program is held. There are, I believe it was last year 11 children, and this year 10 children, young adults, as young as 13, 14, will begin their work life thanks to the money that you're able to provide for us. There's also, I could make references, the amount of money that is being involved here is quite small, based on, obviously, all of the things that you guys have to deal with. But for us, it's a big possible problem. It's, for instance, the amount of money that we spend on supplies and equipment so we can run our crafts program. It helps pay those young people. It helps provide opportunities for children to go to special places and do special things. We do pay the town, the school district for the use of their facilities. Those are not donated free to us. We do provide busing service for the children because it's a spread out area and not an area where they walk to the program. although I'm sure some of them do, because when it's Elder High School, they do have sidewalks. We do have some people here I know who would like to say something or would like to be supportive of the request that you consider returning this $1,250 to us. I hope there might be somewhere in the budget that you could find that sum. I think, could I?
Well, you would say that we would call someone.
Okay.
If you're done,
Unless you have questions for me.
Typically, the public hearing, there's not a question answered.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't going to ask you any. I thought you might have some for me that I could fill in some information for you.
Any other
You know,
questions?
the children who attend very much enjoy the program, and if there's someplace in the budget you could find $1,250, it would be a big help to us. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I see some people are signed up for the privilege of the floor on this issue. You can speak at that time or you can speak now, either or. So if anyone else has to be heard on this issue.
Hi, my name is Melissa Sargent. I'm a mother of 4 children here in Glenville, and they're all in elementary school and they're starting to do the rec program. We participated last year as well, and it was one of the best camps that I had found in the area, and he got so much value out of it, from the swim lessons, learning how to swim, and the arts and crafts, and all the other activities they did. He enjoyed it as one of the best camps, and I thought it was the best value as well. Being that I have 4 children, it's hard to send all of them to camp, and the summer rec program makes it affordable where they can enjoy that experience as children. I really think it's important for children to have a loving environment like this, to be able to grow in summertime activities beyond school activities, and it was really helpful to be able to have that opportunity. And having things like this is what makes Glenville such a wonderful town. I didn't grow up here, we moved here a few years ago, and the more and more I get involved with these kind of activities and other activities, I just fall more and more in love with the town. And I think other people have lived here for years. There's a lot of population that grew up here, and they're raising their children here, and it's programs like this that really make people want to stay and be involved with the town and raise their children here. So I'm supportive of the program, and I hope you're able to find it in your hearts and in your budget to keep it.
You live in a great neighborhood, by the way.
I do.
I think I'm your neighbor.
Oh, are you?
I think I live behind you. The daycare?
No.
No, okay, you look like the lady that has the daycare.
No. I live right near the school, though.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is Emily Hart, and my family and I moved to Glenville 2 years ago. This is my daughter Genevieve, and she participated in the summer rec program last year, and she really enjoyed it. My husband and I both live in work in North Greenbush, so we have quite a commute, and it's difficult for us to find time at night during the summer to do activities with our kids because we're barely home. But the summer rec program really afforded her the opportunity to go on field trips to all sorts of places like the Tree Pad and Chuck E. Cheese. She got to take swim lessons, which would definitely be something we wouldn't be able to do if it weren't for the summer rec program. And she got to do arts and crafts, which is one of her favorite things. Now, Jenny is a very smart girl, and she needs to be kept busy a lot, otherwise she gets very bored and cranky. And she, in the past summers when she's been at like a babysitter or daycare, she comes home and she complains about how bored she was during the day, how she couldn't find anything to do. She never once complained about being at summer rec. She loves summer rec. She came home and told us every night how much fun she had. And I think it's really important that the town find a way to restore funding to it for this year. And Genevieve went to school today and made a list of all the things she liked about summer rec, and if it's okay, she'd like to read them to you.
Absolutely.
This is why I like the summer rec program. Okay, 1, because we got to go swimming every day. 2, because we got to go on field trips. 3, we got to watch the older kids launch rockets. 4, because we got to slip and slide on water day. And then I like swimming because I'm cool. We got to do free swim, and the pool water was never too cold. I also liked it because if I didn't do the swim lessons, if I didn't do it, I wouldn't get to do swim lessons in the summer. I like the field trips because we got to go to Chuck E. Cheese, Tree Pad, and Animal Lab. I missed bowling because it was my birthday. I liked watching the older kids launch rockets because one of the counselors had to try to catch the rockets, and most of the time they missed. I like the slip and slide because after you got off, you would get sprayed by the hose and the sprinkler. I liked it most of all because it was
Excellent, that was better than the supervisor.
I concur.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard on that? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Libby Ramos. This is my husband, Kevin Ramos.
And we'd like to just continue on a few things that were said earlier. A little bit. Okay? A little bit different from them. I have 2 kids that have been in the program now, probably 6 to 8 years. My oldest son had gone through probably at the same time when they started, and was afforded the opportunity to volunteer as a counselor 2 years ago. And last year was his first year that he had the opportunity to start his work as well. So this has afforded my family the opportunity, one, to see my son grow and develop and learn a sense of responsibility. And as far as my daughter, who's 2 years younger, who's also been in the program for about 4 or 5 years, just loves being there and just looks forward to it each and every day. It's never a challenge to get them to go. They both take the responsibility and go all the time. For us as parents that work in Albany, she's in Saratoga, it allows us, it affords us the opportunity to have our kids to be in an environment that's productive and not just sitting home and doing the computer or the games. So it's an affordable opportunity for us as parents to send our kids to something that we feel is productive for our kids. And we'd like to see this continue if possible for the next few years, because my daughter's looking forward to be a counselor one day and to go through the same system as well. So we hope the opportunity is afforded for us.
Thank you. And would you state your address for the record?
It's 7 Long Creek Drive.
Did you get that? What's?
7 Long Creek Drive, Long Hills, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard on this matter? Or the budget? Anyone else wish to be heard on once, on the budget, or twice? The hearing is now closed. I do just want to make one comment on it, because I think you guys came out, took your time to come out, you deserve answers on why the decision was made, just so you have a background as to, $1,250 seems a little silly, cut out of an $18 million budget, but the town had always received $5,000 grant from the county, Schenectady County, to run these youth programs. It was always split between the Village of Scotia, who runs a program in Collins Park, and the Burn Hills program, recognizing that we have town members that go to both programs. When we got cut the $5,000, we said to the county, well, they said to us that they were going to go direct to the programs, meaning the program would have to go to the county and get it themselves. So I understand that Scotia has done that. Recognizing that the money was going to Scotia from the county directly, my decision in this budget, because it hasn't been voted on yet, was to make the cuts and not cut the full $2,500 from Burn Hills, but the $1,250, so cut a quarter. Because I know Schenectady County is probably not going to give that money to the Burn Hills School District. So the cut wasn't made because we want to cut. The cut was made because the money was no longer given to the town as a pass-through to the programs. Now, that's just the background on it. Now, that said, I know it seems silly that $1,250 is cut out of the budget, and I'm sure the board and Jason and I can sit down and figure out if the board's interested in trying to restore it. The issue there is it's not just the $1,250, it's the remaining of the $5,000 that was also cut from the other program. those people would come back and say, well, put that money back in. So then the town would actually be spending $5,000 more than it ever has before on it. We still kept our portion of it, because we believe in the program, we know it's important. So we won't vote on this budget until the 19th. The 19th? Yeah, the 19th. They got the Sunday. So we'll talk as a board and make some decisions on it, but it isn't just this program. We had to cut everything that $5,000 went to. So we probably have to look at restoring the $5,000 then, to be fair with both programs. So I don't know, we'll have to just kind of talk about it over the next 2 weeks. So we'll have a work session next week. It'll probably be on the agenda, I would imagine, and then we'll find out on the 19th how the board wants to go. But we believe that, I won't speak for the board, I believe it's an important program. We didn't want to cut it, it was just that pass-through money is what was taken away from us. So I just felt you deserved at least an understanding of where we were and how we got there. So, the good news is, the hearing's closed, but the better news is that we're going to open privilege of the floor so you can get up and speak all over again if you like about the same issue. So, privilege of the floor is the next item, and I have people signed up here, so I'll start with who have signed up. And if anyone wants to speak, then raise your hand and invite you back up to speak. So I have Stanley Lee as the first speaker.
Hi again, I spoke to you, first my name, Stanley Lee, 130 Johnson Road, which is on the corner of Route 5. I'm the owner of the Sword House, which is one of the...
Mr. Lee, I can't hear you.
I'm the owner of the Sword House, which is one of the 4 historic properties that are listed on the town website. I have lived there for 49 years. I pay my fair share of taxes. I believe that the zoning ordinance should protect the quality of the neighborhood and that of my home. I spent 49 years, I took this house, it was a derelict house, and I want to say restored it, I carefully rebuilt it in respect to the historic parts of it, and I have improved the yard, and I've spent a lot of money and a lot of time in my whole life there. And the house is open for some groups, recognized groups. It's probably got 4 or 5 groups come through here touring the gardens in the house. Those of you who are in the Reformed Church here in Scotia, they usually have either the picnic, the choir picnic, or the Christmas party, the choir Christmas party at the house. I do believe that the house should be open to the public, and it is my home, and there's limits. And I've done that over the years. It was open for the Historical Society 3 times, the Extension Service, the House and Garden Tours. Anyway, I'll forget about that for now. I spoke to people in August of 13. That's more than a year ago, on the concerns I had about the zoning. I won't go into such a long detail today, but I do have 3 issues that I talked to you about then that I want to talk to you about now. First is the property next door to me. This is a residential property, probably less than an acre. It was owned residential agriculture. Since I brought this issue to you last year, the unregistered vehicles on this property have grown from 4 or 5 to 12. Now, I read the ordinance and it says, no, there's not supposed to be any unregistered vehicles. 2 of these were on the road for sale. This property is a full-blown junkyard as far as I'm concerned. Disassembling cars for parts. The owner has his own transportation trailer. He even has a great big black dog, a junkyard dog. And he comes over and threatens me in my yard. Anyway, 12 unregistered vehicles were too much. That set me off. So I filed an official complaint in September. Paul was very cooperative, and a result of his actions, the 2 cars that were for sale now have plates on them. They don't drive them, they're just there for sale. They have 2 more cars that they drive. Whether they're registered or not, I have no way of knowing. There are still 4 unregistered vehicles left on the property, and no effort has been taken to remove the junk in the yard. Car fenders, hoods, stacks of tires, transmissions, 2 utility trailers full of junk, refrigerators, other appliances. And I'm sure Paul is doing his job. I'm not here to complain about Paul. I'm here to make you aware of what the situation is. Hopefully so you can help him and assist him in seeing that this is handled. And I understand from the way back that this property owner has not cooperated with the town and has gone to court with the town before. So there again, I'm asking you to stand behind Paul. Let's get this thing over with and done with. There's no reason why we have 12 unregistered vehicles and a whole yard full of trash. I mean, there's a car there, just 2 fenders and a grill sitting in the middle of the yard. Anyway, that's the first subject, and I hope you will take that into consideration and see that Paul has the resources. He seems to be very busy, I don't want to say overwork, but I think he's trying his best. Number 2, we had a zoning hearing, went back when I was here. We had the new zoning coming out of Route 5 past Waters Road. At that time, you assured us, the board assured us, the residents, that the new industries coming in would have to conform to the provisions of the new zoning. Enclosed equipment yards, setbacks, screenings, landscaping, etc., etc. Well, we have our first new business coming. He's been there about a year. Mr. Barry's concrete business, he was here at the hearing and talked to you. At the time of the public hearing, he seemed to be desperate. There was no place in industrial zoning, no place in the industrial zoning that he could go. He had to have a place on the highway. He needed to open a showroom with easy access for his customers, and he had to hire new employees. He seemed to be rather emphatic and almost desperate about this. And so now let's look at what has happened right now. Drive by, any of you drive by. You can drive by my house and see the junkyard for that matter. There's a big boat trailer on the edge of the road for sale. It has a plywood sign painted out with spray paint, $5,500. There's a smaller boat stored in the open along the back lot. There are construction trailers tucked behind the building, clearly visible from the road. And on the west side of the building is an unregistered truck with the hood open and the wheels off. And then there's another, I assume it's a vehicle. It's out by the road, it's covered up, it has wheels, it has a radiator, it has a big for sale sign on it. So he has 2 unregistered vehicles on the property right now. And no screening, no anything. He doesn't have a sign for his business. There's no construction supporting his showroom he had to have. There's no yard, there's an enclosed yard, there's no screening, there's no landscape. The place is just like Daniel's Trucking. It appears that he has no regard for the zoning laws at all, or the community in general. We already had the Daniels Trucking Company that just come in and squatted. Now, the story I got from one of the town officials years ago was that it was not allowed in that zoning, but they were going to, when the town came to them, they said they were going to take a lawyer and take the town to court. So the town did nothing. The place is there, no screening, no opening, dump trucks, everything coming in, all kinds of cars and stuff parked around there. Anyway, we don't need this again in the new zone. So I hope you can do something about it. I mean, this is, anyway, I know I'm upset. And there's one more thing that's rather minor, but seeing how I was on the car committee and we fought the RV park at the airport, and we're very active in rezoning, the last rezoning on Route 5. One of the things we did was we killed the RV park on the airport. Right now, there are 2 house trailers on the airport. These are mobile home, on wheels houses. I think they're HUD houses. But I'm not sure about that.
When you say the airport, are you talking about where the old hen house is?
Yes, yes. Where they have.
How long have you been there? How long have you been there?
How long have they been there? 2 or 3 years. I assume when HUD sold them down in Scary, they got them and they moved them in there. They were out by the river, but they moved in and they're sort of hiding in the bushes now. They appear to be used as summer camps. We have Arrowhead just down the river, who has sanitary sewers, legitimate docks in the water that have been approved by the canal system. And they take all their equipment out at the end of the year and put it on high ground so it doesn't get flooded and washed away. House trailers, as far as I can read, the ordinances are not allowed on a riverfront recreation district or in the town of Glenville unless they're in registered or official mobile home park. But here they are, they've been there for a couple of years. If we have a spring.
Mr. Lee, I will work with Paul tomorrow on these issues. We'll teach one of them and work with Paul and the code enforcer. I ask you just take this number down, if you wouldn't mind. My phone is 688.
I can't hear it.
688-1202. You don't have to wait for a board meeting for these issues. Call me.
Yes, I know that. I have talked to Paul. I've talked to him about the next door, and I've talked to him about the trailers on the park.
But if you're not getting results, call me.
He is doing what he can.
Okay.
Okay? But I think is he needs some more assistance, some more emphasis on his own. I mean, when I was here before, I went down 20 items down the road, and there's been no change.
All right.
Okay?
You call me, I'll look into this and we'll get this looked at.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me speak.
Thank you. The next person we have is Jason Rosiak. Sorry. I have my glasses on.
Good evening. First, I want to thank the videographer. Every time I can't come to one of these meetings, I pull up YouTube and watch it right before I go to bed. And if it wasn't for him, I would have never been able to kick Ambien. So that's a good thing. Anyways, the reason I'm up here tonight is because I want to propose to the board that we look into some local agricultural development type. Doesn't even have to be a program because it doesn't need to be that big a scale. I have a small hobby farm, that's one thing I was amazed at. Glenville, boy, they sure do have a large agricultural zone. So there's a lot of little farms out there, a lot of hobby farms, a lot of production farms, and for that matter. When I was going through and starting to buy winter supplies and putting hay up, things like that, it occurred to me that I don't know what anybody has in Glenville. And I would love to keep my business local in Glenville and support the other farmers and producers, agricultural producers in the area. But there's no mechanism for that. And I was actually pretty amazed at that. And it's not only here, it's all over the place. And you'd think where we are now with the web, we would be there. Facebook's a perfect example. These farm swaps are just, they're just popping up left and right. So that's what I would like to propose if it's something you guys might want to consider. Start planning now in the springtime. Maybe putting together something that could either go on to the town's website or someone can go in there and put, if they're an agricultural producer, they can put what they're producing. I will volunteer right here and say, if I'm asked, I would be more than happy to begin to network some of these local farmers in the area, the 4-H, the county extensions, As a matter of fact, in watching some of those previous videos, I know that you all even talked about farm stands. I don't know where that ever ended up, but I do think it's a benefit to the town to have this there. Farm Fresh is in vogue, so let's take advantage of it. And I do believe that if people know what's in the town and what's around there, they're gonna buy from those local farmers. So with that, thank you for listening to me tonight, and I hope in the future we'll see something come out of this. All right, thanks.
Consider yourself asked, Jason. We'll talk. The other two I had signed up left, so I think they have their say at the public hearing. Anyone else wish to be heard? Come to the floor. Sir.
Thank you. My name is Pete Looker. I live on Amsterdam Road, Route 5. And I'm here speaking for people in the Westwood neighborhood concerning the illegal, disrespectful actions by an out-of-state corporation, Old Domination Trucking, for much of this year. We look at a maximum security prison across the street from our houses. We can read in our bedrooms at night without a light. Our trees are lit up 60 feet up in the air. The science indicates that it's harmful to people, animals, and plants, that 24-hour light we're putting up with. The town law states that off-street lighting shall be used to illuminate off-street loading shall be configured in a manner so as not to reflect upon adjacent properties or streets. Lights and sources shall be shielded and projected downward. Off-street parking, 270.73. All lighting associated with parking areas will be directed into the parking area and away from adjacent properties and public right-of-way. 270.65K, glare, whether direct or reflected, whether from floodlights or high-temperature processes, shall be confined to the property in which it is generated. Intent, that nearby properties and neighborhood are not significantly impacted as a result either through environmental impacts, visual effects, or reduction in property values. While their plans were approved by the town zoning board for certain designs, height, and placement of lights, these plans did not show them aimed illegally and without legal shades. In the same way that as I was coming here tonight, a car came towards me whose lights were obviously not aimed properly and were shining into my eyes as I was driving on, which wasn't very helpful to the drivers that were coming across them. Now those lights were designed and legal, but they're misaimed, okay? They're aimed in, that's why we have inspections every year for our cars, to get them to aim the lights in the correct way. So what we are asking is that you, the representatives of us, the people of Glenville, please provide us with relief from this continuing illegal, disruptive, disrespectful corporate activity across the street from our house. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard tonight? Come to the floor. Going once, going twice. The floor is now closed. With the supervisor's comments to the board. To be brief, since we already did the budget overview. Just bring up to date on a few activities. We're making progress, first of all, on the DEC project on Sunnyside Road, or in that neighborhood. You all got the email that they sent a letter to the residents and a fact sheet outlining the project going forward. That went out last year, I believe. It was clear that DEC will not pay for hookups after the resident has this opportunity. So if a resident decides that they don't want a hookup, they're going to be on their own. after DEC is done with their work. So that's important for the residents to know. Any additional questions residents have, they could call me or Dana or Tom, or best yet is DEC, and we have contact information for DEC here at Town Hall. The time frame, they're gathering right now through the end of November, geotechnical information, as they call it. And so we got a call today. If you get a resident call you and there's white stripes or some sort of stripes in their yard, that's probably being targeted as one of the bores they're going to do for testing groundwater. So that's going to be, not random is not the right word, but sporadic. Not every yard's going to get it. So it's just a testing. And then they expect the design work to be done by April of 2015. They'll go to bid on the project in early summer and start the work mid-fall of 15, hoping to end it by the end of 15, but it may go into early spring of 16 if they don't wrap up on time. Jason and I had a call to discuss with DEC how to move forward with getting the water line down to the village line for those 4 other residents, but also then to try to hook into the village for redundancy. If we need their water, they need our water, it'd be a good hookup. We're moving forward with that. There's a few little bureaucratic snags, as you could imagine, but we're working on it right now, and what the town's portion of cost would be. I had a chance, as I told you at the last board meeting, to meet with Delaware Engineering to discuss the sewer project and the options going forward. We're having some good discussions. We're going to have some good things to talk about soon and make some decisions on how we want to go forward, but we're working on that as well. I also had an opportunity to meet with the BHBL superintendent to talk about, as we have every other month or so for the past past year or two now, on ideas of how we can share things and go forward and work together. And we had a good discussion. We have some ideas, and we're working on it. Just want to let you know that continues to happen. Sid and I had the opportunity to attend a ribbon cutting at Thrive Chiropractic, which was kind of nice, a new business in town, right on Saratoga Drive Road across from Willowbrook, right? Willowbrook. Yeah. A nice young couple, a couple of doctors starting the practice. So that was kind of nice. I know Jim already talked about the comprehensive plan tomorrow, so if we can go to that, that would be phenomenal. We're getting calls, and I think we're going to have a good turnout. So that's going to be good. I also had a follow-up meeting on the Town Center lighting plan and possibly using solar to help pay for that. We're continuing to talk about that, and we do have the design and the plan now with all the costs, so we're able to go forward to Metroplex and try to request more money and support for that project. That will be nice here in Town Center once that gets done. And then finally, with Veterans Day coming up, you probably all got these in your emails, but just to remind you, the Honor and Serve breakfast is this Friday at 7 o'clock at the mansion. Yeah, it's the 109th does that breakfast. The chamber puts it on, so if you can make that, that would be great. Senior Center has a Veterans Day event Sunday the 9th. I believe it's at 1 o'clock. Rotary is having the Veterans Day ceremony on the 11th at 11 at the Point Park there, the Veterans Park, the county park. That's a great ceremony if you can make that. And next week, we have a call with DEC on the Kenco site, starting to talk about cleanup options for the actual source site of what began the whole Sunnyside water project. And the really good news, I know Jim's excited about it, is DOT's agreed to do a study for the Oak Hill Road folks. After many calls and letters and discussions.
Old job.
Yeah, they're gonna, that's why Jim liked it. We have a call with them Thursday to, Kevin and I, not a call, we're actually going there, right Kevin? Yeah, Kevin and I on the road. Be at DOT and we'll start talking about that. Anything from you, questions, comments?
Make sure you drop lots of hints about this is only the beginning with DOT. We expect more.
We will do that. Anything else?
See some nice new welcome Glenville signs going up today.
Oh, were they going up today? I knew they were going up this week. Yeah, well, we should have mentioned that. We have, just to we have 3 new, as you know, the Ready Fund is funding 3 new Welcome to Glenville signs, replacing, I think, a total of 8. There's 8 entry points. We're doing 3 a year, as you know, you authorized the expenditure already, but the 3 look great. I haven't seen them up yet, how they look up.
They're just going on.
Just going on.
Real quick.
It's just part of the beautification and welcoming people to Glenville, so, yes. Okay, so back to the agenda, and we'll get right to the Resolution 8, establishing the Town of Glenville Comprehensive Plan Committee. Do I have a motion?
I will move it.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is the resolution that is going to appoint a committee comprised of residents to oversee the development of the plan. They are Michael Carr, Dave Hennel, Andy, help me with that one? By Tolins, Mark Storty, Jim Valakovic, Patrick Morris, Armin Canistero, and Jenny Lippman. There's no John Smiths in this world anymore. Anyhow, the other thing I should note is Jenny Lippman is the Village of Scotia representative, and which is especially exciting about this is the first ever joint comprehensive plan that will be done by the town and village together. We'll be doing both communities at once. I mentioned earlier the 3 public meetings. One of them will be held, we're going to try, I think, Kevin, we're looking at the high school potentially as a site, if you can get all the bureaucracy.
High school or middle school?
Unbelievable. But anyhow, we're looking at the schools, maybe one of the locations, and that'll be like targeted a little bit more towards the village side of the plan. So this is a great committee, all residents, and we tried to tap the chairman of our various committees, planning and zoning board of appeals, and so on. So we're trying to set up the categories of review here for the plan itself. So it's coming together very nicely.
Thank you. I want to congratulate both you, Jim, and Kevin for all your hard work on this and getting this going. It's very important. We've had a good response from our residents. I've enjoyed working with 2 egghead planners and keeping up with all the banter back and forth. I just sit
That
back
and paint drying will keep you wide awake at night.
But I want to point out or bring up one point of discussion, because I got a call today and I promised the resident I would. There's a resident who is suggesting that we create, and again, structurally we'll have to talk about this, but create a residential advisory council to the committee. They like the idea of having the 3 public opportunities for people to get together, but they wanted more what they call residents, and I say that, you know, the people who volunteer here are residents too, but they're consider them to be town insiders. I explained to them that we picked these people because each of the areas in the comprehensive plan, these people have specialties in, so it makes a lot of sense, and they are residents. But they're suggesting that we put together an advisory council that would allow for that chairperson to sit on the committee and then go back and have a work group with the residents advisory that aren't connected to the town administration.
I think that's a great suggestion. I mean, the plan is only going to be as good as the public input we get. So the more outreach we have, the depth of that reach, the better off we're going to be. So I think that's fine. I mean, if we can work that in, I don't know how you want to handle that. We can have maybe a subsequent resolution or something of that effect and make it an official appointment, but I think that's great.
So if everyone's okay with that, what we could do is at the next board meeting have a resolution authorizing that committee, Mike? Or can it just be a subcommittee of this committee?
Well, for a subcommittee of the comprehensive plan committee, we would expect it to be chaired by someone that's appointed to the committee. So if we're gonna have a separate,
we're gonna have a
chair,
separate committee.
want to kind of, amend this resolution to include that public representative.
That'd be fine.
That would be fun, because we haven't done an amendment to a resolution yet. I love that process. Let's do that. So we need a motion to amend Resolution 8. Move. I need a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Now we need a description of the amendment. So this amendment, Mike,
Do you have a person?
we don't have a person yet.
A yet to be named representative of a resident.
Right, we'll have a resident,
To be named later. So we would like to add to the committee a yet to be determined resident.
Neighborhood slash neighborhood.
Representative,
Yeah.
resident, representative. We're making this up as we go.
It's painfully obvious.
All right, so we got that.
well, it's important if Linda has it. Neighborhoods representative, what do we call it?
Resident representative, because that alliteration goes nicely.
Resident representative.
Sounds better than neighborhood.
Okay.
To the list of appointments accepted.
We will then, Kevin, need to do a solicitation for people to fill out the volunteer form to join this committee. We'll call them in to meet with you, me, and Jim. We'll select, well, that committee will be a separate resolution next week, 5 or 7 or whatever.
Okay.
All right, so that amendment's before us. Any discussion? Seeing none, please record the vote on the amendment.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardi?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kettsley?
Yes, the amendment passes. Now we are taking up the resolution, so we have to pass the resolution as amended. Any further discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardi?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kettsley?
Yes, resolution passes.
This is high stakes parliamentary procedure here, I tell you.
I executed that flawlessly.
Yeah, I
That's
duly
why I
noted.
wanted to do it. All right, so with that passed, we'll go on to the next resolution, which is Resolution 9, approving the preliminary capital expense budgets. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this is a resolution to approve the preliminary capital expense budgets for Water District Number 11 of Town of Glenville and extensions number 1 through 42 for the year 2015. The assessment roll for Water District Number 11 and extensions numbers 1 through 42 will also be filed with the clerk of town for review.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardi?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, Resolution 11. Resolution approving a preliminary capital expense budget for certain sewer district. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution will approve a preliminary capital expense budget of the joint Acorn Drive Sewer and Woodhaven Sewer District for the year 2015. The proposed assessment roll for the joint Acorn Drive Sewer District and Woodhaven Sewer District shall also be prepared and the appropriate extensions made thereon. The proposed assessment roll and estimate of income and expenditure should be filed with the clerk of the town court.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardi?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, Resolution 12, approving the preliminary capital expense of a certain sewer district. Do I have a motion?
So
Do
moved.
I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution would approve the preliminary capital expense budget of the Alcohol Sewer District Number 1 and extension number 1 for the year 2015.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardi?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, Resolution 13, of reappointing Rosalie Fahey to the bar. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, Rosalie Fahey was on the Board of Assessment Review. Her term expired, and based on the recommendation of the chairman, we'd like to reappoint her to a term for 5 years, commencing October 1st and expiring September 30th, 2019. The Board of Assessment Review is compensated as follows: $100 per person per day for grievance and $25 per person per hour for sessions following grievance day, with the chairman of the board receiving an additional $50.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pippilani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramatar?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 14, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with the APF. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Just for point of discussion, we contract with the APF, the Animal Protective Foundation here in the town of Glenville, to shelter our dogs. We've been in this relationship for 3 years now, I believe. This contract will extend into 2015 and would be a contract where they would house our stray dogs for a daily rate of $60 per dog and some fees for their services outlined in the agreement, which we all have a copy of. This agreement would expire on December 31st, and this resolution would authorize me, the supervisor, to enter into the agreement for calendar year 2015. It is in the 2015 preliminary budget for this contract. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pippilani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramatar?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 15, authorizing the supervisor to hire a part-time maintenance helper. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, there's a current vacancy in the position of maintenance helper due to retirement and temporary disability of the second maintenance helper. The senior center is in need of to fulfill the obligations. The town has interviewed several candidates, and the candidate that was determined to be the best qualified was Jim Roanover. This is to provisionally appoint him to the position of maintenance helper on a part-time basis, effective November 6, 2014, starting rate of $15.88 per hour, and benefits, if any, determined by CSEA.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pippilani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramatar?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Now we're on to our two add-ons, and resolution add-on 1 is a resolution appointing a deputy highway superintendent, deputy commissioner of public works, and administrative supervisor of water and sanitation division. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Do you want to?
It's up to you. It has my name, but
I
you.
know that's
Well, we'll start the discussion, and this is a resolution to fill a vacancy in the town highway superintendent. Tom Capola recommends the town board appoint Dana Gilgore as deputy highway superintendent, and where there's also a vacancy for deputy commissioner of public works for the remainder of the term of 1 year for such position. The commissioner recommends Mr. Gilgore for this position as well. This resolution finds that Dana Gilgore has served this town for many years well. He's been an outstanding employee. He is intimately familiar with the town's roads, the highways, the drainage systems, water and sewer infrastructure, and where this board, this resolution agrees with the commissioner's recommendations, that Dana Gilgore would be a phenomenal appointee into this position. This resolution also allows Mr. Gilgore to take leave from his current civil service position of Engineer Tech 2 for the period of 1 year. This resolution would appoint Dan Gilgore into this position. So this would allow him to leave a leave of absence from his civil service title of Engineer Tech 2 and run concurrently with his term of his appointments described in this resolution. Any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I would just like to say that I'm very pleased that we finally have this resolution before us. This is something we've been talking about since we took office in 2010, and I can't really think of anybody who's better suited to this position, who is Dana. And any of my dealings with him as liaison, he's always taken the time to explain things to me and talk with me about projects within the town. I believe that his knowledge and his way of communicating with people will only be a benefit to working with new people who come to the town and current businesses and residents within the town and their projects that come before us. So I'm pleased to see this happen.
Thank you. Anything else? I wanted to just echo Councilwoman Wojciechowski's comments. I've had an opportunity to work with Dana now on a full-time basis for this past year, and Dana has been an outstanding individual and employee. His work ethic is second to none. His ability to work with the residents is outstanding. I just can't think of a better person for this. And in fact, I do get calls from residents complimenting Dana's work all the time, and developers, and I know you're going to do great in this role, and we're happy to finally have you on board. We're sorry it took so long, but we got you here, and looking forward to working with you in this role. Anything else? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramotaro?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Congratulations, Dana.
Congratulations.
What do you mean, please?
Next resolution, add-on 2, resolution appointing Larry Colleton to the position of water treatment plant operator. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, as stated, there is a vacancy in the position of water treatment plant operator that was created by retirement of the former operator of the plant. Commissioner of Public Works is familiar with the several candidates possessing the requisite qualifications for eligible for appointment from the civil service organization for this position, and has determined that Lawrence Carlton is the most experienced and recommends his promotional appointment, subject to a probationary period of 6 months. Whereas Mr. Carlton has been advised of the proposed appointment and is willing to accept such appointment, this resolution would appoint Lawrence Carlton to the position of water treatment plant operator effective November 6, 2014, and starting rate for such title of $54,942.24, and benefits determined by the CSA agreement with the town. I would also add that I've known Larry for many years, to be extremely knowledgeable. I believe that in this selection that he will serve the town, continue to serve the town well in this capacity.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Ramotaro?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Kettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Last item on the agenda for executive session is new business. We'll start on up with Councilman Ramottar. Any new business?
Nothing new.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
None of this, Mr. Supervisor.
Councilman Martin.
No new business.
Councilman Pittavani.
No new business.
And I will entertain a motion to go into executive session. Second?
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're in executive session. Thank you.